Hello. This video is going to cover creating an editable grid view like the one you see here. We'll do some styling to it to make it look like this, but the gist of it is we can click the edit button and then we can come over here and we can edit something on the screen and click update, and it stores it back to the database. As many times as we want. We can delete items out of there. This is using, we're going to stick with the products lab 5 table that we created. So if you need to insert things, just go to your lab 5 solution and hit insert, 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 and get some items there. So there, number 11's gone, and so on. So let's go ahead and get started. We bring up Visual Studio, and we'll go ahead and do File, New Project. Again, we'll do a .NET web application under Web here. I'm going to make a new folder here. And so I'm just going to save this on my desktop, as you can see. I'm going to call it GridView. And then I'm going to hit OK. Empty is fine. Hit OK. It'll create the project for us. So now I've got my base project here. I'm going to go ahead and add my one file that I need, so add new item. We need a web form, and we'll call that web form grid view as well. And so now I've got this over here in my solution. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the web.config file, which is something we have not done before. So right here you've got web.config. Just click on that one right there. These are some parameters that run with your program. And we are going to add our connection string to the web.config file this time. We've done a couple different ways already. This time we're going to add it to the web.config file. So below system.code.dom, you're going to add connection strings. And then in between the open and close connection strings, we do add. We have to give it a name. We'll give it the same name we've been giving it, connstr. And then we specify the connection string. Now the text for the connection string is a little bit different than what we've been using. So I guess pay attention as we do that. It is data space source equals, and then it's CGT web 1, semicolon, then it's initial catalog, and this is your initial database. So for you, it's going to be CGT 456 web number letter. For me, it's going to be RJ Glotzball. User ID equals, again, this is going to be your CGT 456 web number letter. For me, it's going to be RJ Glotzball. And then you need your password. The password I'm going to do off the screen here, so I'll start it here. So password equals, and then you would type your password right here. No quotations or anything, just right after the equal sign, type your password. I'm going to pause it, type mine, and then push it off the screen. So I've finished the connection string here. Got my password in there now. Again, it's below system.code DOM. You've got open and close connection strings, and then inside of that you've got add with a name equals and connection string equals. And in our other file we will point to this name here, connstr. So we are done with that connection string. Let's go ahead and do a Control-Shift-B to build it. So it succeeded. I'm going to close the web.config file because we're done there. Everything else we do will be in the .aspx this time. So you're not going to do anything in your .cs file. So first we're going to start by just completing the functionality for what we're doing, and then after that we'll apply the styles. Everything we do will be inside of this open and close div tag. This opening div tag I'm going to give an ID of center me. And then in between the open and close div, I'm going to add a grid view and then a SQL data source. So let's start with the grid view. It's ASP::GridView. Now I'm still in that opening tag. I'm just putting things on separate lines. So this is still in that opening tag. We've got ID equals. We're going to call it GridView1, something simple. We're going to set the font names, and we're going to use Arial. And the font size, use Visual Studio's generic smaller. Again, I'm still in that opening tag. Now these are probably not going to pop up for you, so watch your spelling and make sure you spell them correctly. So auto-generate columns is equal to false. Auto-generate edit button is equal to true. Auto-generate delete button is equal to false. DataSource ID is equal to SQL data source 1. Data key names is equal to product ID. That's our primary key from our table. And then run at equals server. And then there I put my closing greater than, and you'll see it completes it for me. Now I've got a couple things that need to go in between there as well. But look over this again, make sure you have not misspelled anything. Auto-generate columns, auto-generate edit button, auto-generate delete button. Data source ID is SQL data source 1. Data key names is product ID. So make sure all of that matches. What's left inside of this grid view is to define the columns. So we've got an open and close columns element there. And inside of here we're going to have one template field and then 4 bound fields. So we'll start with the ASP::template field. There's an open and close there. Inside of that we can put an item template. And inside of that we can put a link button. So ASP::link button. Run at equals server. Again, I'm still inside of that opening tag. I'm just making it all fit on the screen. So I went down to the next line. On client click equals, and then inside of those quotation marks is return space confirm. Are you sure? So the are you sure goes inside of single quotes, which is inside of parentheses, and there's a semicolon at the end. I'm still inside of that opening ASP link button. Command name equals delete. My greater than sign closes it out, and in between those two, I'm going to put the word delete again. So that's it for my item template. Sorry, that's it for my template field. So below the template field, still inside of columns, we need 4 ASP bound fields. So here's our first one, ASP bound field. It is a data field, which means that it comes from the database. Product ID will specify the header that goes at the top of that spreadsheet that we're building. And it will also be product ID. We'll specify a sort expression. Again, watch your spelling. Again, it will be product ID. This one is the only one that has read-only equals true. And we'll close that out. So we've got an ASP bound field. We specify the data field, the header text, sort expression, and the product ID is read-only. So we're not going to be able to edit that. I'm going to copy that and paste it one time. I'm going to get rid of the read-only equals true. And then this one is going to be for the title column. So I'll put lowercase title there. The header text I'll put a capital T on for title. And then the sort expression I'll do lowercase title again. Now I need 3 more of those, so I'll copy that second one. Sorry, I need 2 more. And I'll paste it 2 more times. This one is going to become authors. In the header text, I'll capitalize the A. And a sort expression, it's a lowercase a. That last one is description. Again, in the header text, I'll capitalize the D. Then the sort expression, it's lowercase again. That finishes out the columns and the ASP grid view. So this particular grid view is pointing to a data source called SQL DataSource 1, and we've not created that yet. So the next thing is to create this SQL data source. So below the grid view, we do an ASP:SQL data source. Again, I'm still inside that opening element. Do ID equals SQL data source 1. That matches what I just highlighted above. Set it to run at the server. This is where we point to that connection string that is in the web.config file, connection string equals, and this is your first introduction to the ASP delimiters. This is just like PHP delimiters. How in your HTML section you can use PHP delimiters anywhere. In your ASPX section you can use ASP delimiters anywhere. They are less than percent and then percent greater than. For this one, we need to call that web.config file. So we're going to have a $ space and then connection strings plural colon con str. So that's connection strings colon con str. Still inside of that opening SQL data source element, we need to set the values for a select command, update command, and delete command. So select command equals, and we put our select statement. So select product ID, title, authors, and description from, this is our table that we created for a previous lab. That's the select command. We need the update command. And it is going to be update products lab 5. Set title equals at title. That should look familiar from parameters. Author equals at authors. Description equals at description. Where product ID is equal to at product ID. So update products at 5, set title equal at title, comma, authors equal at authors, comma, description equal at description, where product equal at product ID, product ID equal at product ID. Still inside that opening SQL data source, we need the delete command equals delete from products at 5, where product ID is equal to at product ID. And then we can do our closing greater than sign, which finishes it out there for me. But we've got a couple things to put inside of this SQL data source. So the first thing we need both update parameters and delete parameters. So we need, in the update parameters, we need the title, authors, and description. And we're going to put the product ID in the delete parameters. So here we've got update parameters. And inside of that, we've got ASP:parameter, name equals title. And then we do that again for authors and description. So we just need a name of authors and a name of description. And that takes care of our parameters there. Just make sure your spelling is correct. If you misspell it, it's not going to work. And then we need delete parameters. And again, it's that same ASP:parameter name equals, but this one's the product ID, which we haven't specified yet. Product ID. And that finishes our functionality portion. So I'm going to do a Control-Shift-Build. If this does not work for you, then go back in the video and look at your spelling very carefully. A simple typo will stop it from working. I'm going to right-click on GridView.aspx, view in Google Chrome. You'll see it load here. And again, there's no formatting on this one, but if I click Edit on this second one, and I want to change that and hit Update, it stores it in the database there. Again, you can choose any of those. You cannot edit the product ID, but you can edit title, authors, description in that row and hit update or cancel, or you can delete a given one. Again, if you don't have anything showing up here, go to your Products Lab 5 finished solution, your Products Lab 5 finished solution, and click the Insert button a bunch of times. If that doesn't work for you, then in Visual Studio, connect to SQL Server, and then write some insert statements that inserts items here for you. If you need help with insert statements, go to your Lab 5, where I gave you the create statement. It also had, I think it had some insert statements, but there have been multiple instances where you can find those. The rest of what we have to do is up here in the styles. So in between open and close head tags, we're going to put open and close style tags there, and we're going to begin formatting this thing. So I'll start with just the body element. And we're going to do the background color. And what I set at the very beginning, what you saw was D5, F5, F5 for the background color. I'm going to set the table and we'll get into table elements and probably some new things that you're not familiar with. But on this, we're going to do border spacing, colon, and we're going to set that to 0 pixels. I'm going to go ahead and do the center me div. Remember we did div ID equals center me there, so I'm going to do pound center me. And what we're going to have in there is the background color set to white to contrast with the background color of the rest of the page. We're going to set the height to 300 pixels. The width to 1050 pixels. Overflow to auto. And then we're going to use absolute positioning on this one. So we've got position colon absolute. When we do that, we specify the top and the left. The top is going to be 150 pixels, and the left will also start 150 pixels off the left. And finally, we're going to set a border radius of 20 pixels. So there we've got the height, width, overflow position, top left, border radius. Now there's some methods of formatting particular items within a table that we're going to look at here. We'll start with just the styles for a TH, and then we're going to get into more specific items within the TR and TD. So the table header, we'll set the background color. Again, this one is pound AAA and then EE for what I had set anyway. We're going to do the padding left of 15 pixels and also the padding right of 15 pixels. I have all these spelled out, but that's all right. And then padding bottom and padding top. So we could have just gone with padding there, but whatever. That finishes our TH there. And now what we want is, in our example that we saw, what we had was an alternating background color. So we're going to do a TR colon nth-child so TR colon nth-child, and we're going to put the word odd. And so that the odd ones are going to have a different background color that we'll set to pound DDDDEE. So that takes care of the row background color, and now we're going to start looking at the TD cell, which is inside of the TR. So we're going to do a TD colon first child. The first child, we're going to set the width to 90 pixels. And a question you should ask as we go through this is, you know, I'm going to have different widths in here. How did I come up with those? Well, it was a lot of trial and error. So as I was developing it, I looked at the width of the column and the how the spacing wound up being laid out, and that's what I come up with. So you would do the same thing if you were also creating it yourselves. I'm going to copy these 4 paddings here, padding left, padding right, bottom and top. I'm going to copy those, and in this first child, I'm going to go ahead and paste those in, keeping them at 15 pixels. Then we do a TD colon nth child. Oops. Inside of the nth child parentheses, we're going to put the number 2. And we'll just work down the list here. It'll be nth child 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. On number 2, we're going to do again, the padding left, right, bottom, and top. So I'm just going to paste that in there again. On nth child 3, we're going to set the width on it to be 40 pixels. On nth child 4, we're again going to set the width to 170 pixels. And that width will stay the same for 5 and 6. So I'm just going to copy nth child 4 here, paste it twice. And so you should have an TD colon nth child 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 should have a width of 40, and then the next 3 should have widths of 170. After that, I'll just do the plain TD tag. Padding left on this one is going to be 35 pixels. And the padding right is also going to be 35 pixels. The bottom and top are going to stay at 15 pixels. And then lastly, we want to work on the scroll bar. So if you remember, the scroll bar was a little different from your standard scroll bar. So we're going to have colon dash WebKit dash scroll bar. We're going to start by setting the width of that to 10 pixels. And then we need scroll bar track. So WebKit dash scroll bar dash track. And for that, I'm going to do box shadow, inset 0 space 0 space 5 pixels space gray with a border radius of 10. Now we need the scroll bar thumb. This is going to have a background using RGB A. And then we're going to set it as 200 for R, 200 for G, 200 for D, and then 0.6 for the alpha, and then a border radius of 10. And then we want to set the scroll bar thumb hover event. Thumb colon hover. And for that, we're going to change the background, again using RGBA, to 100, 100, 100 for RGB, and 0.4 for the opacity. And that finishes it out. So hopefully, if we don't have any typos in our CSS, if you have a simple typo in your CSS, yours is not going to look correct. Same with mine. So let's hope that we don't have any typos there. View it in Google Chrome. And so here we've got our box. We've got edit. Update that. It's still working. Your functionality is not going to change. All we've done is we've modified the look and feel. It seems like my white background color is not coming through. So let me look here. Of course, yep, I'm missing a colon right there. So let's go ahead and I'll build that again. Right click, view in Google Chrome. And now it looks like I expected. So I've got white in the background there. You'll notice the change on hover here and the shape and size of the scroll bar. The rounded corners there. And again, you've got the functionality of an editable grid view, which can make things quite a bit nicer for editing. So that finishes out this exercise. Wasn't too terribly lengthy. It can be incredibly useful. The information you learned from parameters, that particular exercise, carried over a little bit here. We used parameters once again. And we did some a little more advanced CSS in this one, which hopefully you find helpful. So thank you. I'll see you next time.